So a little bit about the user experience in terms of the streetcar. So for us, we really wanted to make sure that we were going above and beyond for this particular streetcar system. We wanted it to really make sure that it was meeting the needs of everyone. So yes, the streetcar is going to be ADA accessible, as are all of our stations. So there will be bike storage on board all of our streetcars. We know that Detroit is quickly becoming the bike city. So side note, if you guys have not had the opportunity to participate in the slow roll with the famous Jason Hall on one spring breaks, I highly encourage you guys to take advantage of that. So we will have bike racks inside all of the streetcars. They will be climate controlled, so they'll have heat in the winter, they'll have AC in the summer, and then they'll also go with the flow of traffic. So if you have the opportunity to go downtown and look at where we've completed our work at between State and Adams, you'll see that the streetcars, we don't have a dedicated line. And so you'll be able to drive behind a streetcar. You'll be able to park where there's parking spots, where there's parking spaces left. You'll be able to pull in, park after the streetcar leaves, come back, be able to pull out. And so we're actually going to be doing, in 2016, will be our year of education. We'll be going out and we'll be working with the community to really execute a robust education program to allow people to learn how to really and be able to interact as a pedestrian and also as a motorist with the streetcar system safely. And also we're going to have free Wi-Fi on all of the streetcars as well too. And you'll also be able to purchase your ticket either at the station or also on the train itself. So yes, our goal is big for us to be able to create this streetcar system and to be able to work with MDOT to be able to have this road reconstruction complete. But we're excited about it. And one of the things, as I alluded to earlier, is that it's not just about the streetcar, but it really is about connecting people to all the opportunities that are coming because of the streetcar's development. We already know that streetcars bring a lot of businesses and all those great things, and hopefully working with our partners, encouraging and strengthening the existing businesses that are in the corridor. In Tucson, for example, when the corridor that they began doing their streetcar development in where it operates now, they only had 4 businesses that were in existence before the streetcar project came to pass. By the time they opened up their doors in July, they had over 150 businesses that had moved into that corridor. And so when we look about really connecting people to all those opportunities, and I spoke earlier about how we're making those connections, here you'll see we really are just that small part of the system. So we're connecting to the people mover. With one of our stations, we're going to actually have a station right at Grand Circus Park, which is literally maybe 150 feet away from where the Grand Circus People Mover stop is, which then carries you over to Cobo Hall, where you can go to the auto show, carries you over to the Renaissance Center so you can take care of your business at GM over there, takes you over to Greektown so you can enjoy an evening out with your husband or your wife or hanging out with the kids and exploring. It connects you to all the other crosstown DDOT stops. So if you're, say you need to take grandma to the doctor and you guys are coming over from Hamilton, you and grandma can get off at the Hamilton. You guys can get off at your Hamilton stop and then take the streetcar down, and then you can take her to the doctor and explore spend the afternoon down here with her. Or, with Amtrak and their high-speed rail and with their investment in high-speed rail, with them increasing the frequency of their stops from 3 to 7, and then with the increased stops that they have throughout the state, going to Chicago on what they have deemed their most profitable line, you can really begin to fully explore being able to move around the region, and utilizing Amtrak as a viable rail option for you to be able to access other cities. So if you want to take M-1 rail and then go visit your cousins that may stay in Kalamazoo, or if you have a child that goes to Western, instead of going to grab them, you can actually give them 2 train tickets and they can come home on the weekends themselves. So really, I want to kind of talk to you a little bit more. It says community, talked about earlier about our community engagement. We really believe in putting community first. When we began developing this project, we really wanted to have the community at the table, and we really wanted to be able to have their voice. So we have two advisory councils, one of which she sits on, which is our Community Advisory Council, which is made up of 35 members, representing a number of different organizations from across the region. We have representatives not only from the NAACP, but also from Warriors on Wheels, from Moses, from Presbyterian Villages. We also have representatives from the Luella Hannon Foundation, as well as a number of other organizations. And they meet on a bi-monthly basis. When we first began this project, we did, however, meet every month. As the planning process for the project slowed down and we got into our groove, they made the decision to be able to meet bi-monthly with update reports that we send out to them every month, beginning in January. Our Business Advisory Council is made up of a diverse body of stakeholders that represent businesses that are women-owned and both minority-owned businesses throughout the corridor. There are 27 members that sit on that particular committee, and that particular committee continues to meet monthly, every month at our offices. We also were very proactive in making sure that with various elements of this project that we're engaging community at every point. When we kicked off our project earlier last year, we did a massive round robin of project update meetings to really make sure that people knew exactly what was getting ready to take place in terms of construction, that they knew what to expect, and also what to expect with operations. We were fully aware that this project had been on people's minds for a long time, and it's sort of like, oh, it may or may not happen, a lot of stop-starts. But when we began construction, we really wanted to empower people with all the information that they needed so that they can make the decisions and be able to work with us to do all the things that they needed to do to be able to navigate construction. And we had 15 meetings during that particular round robin meeting. We hosted them both during the morning. We also hosted them at the evening, and we hosted them at a variety of community entities. So not only at our offices, but we hosted them at Triumph Church. We had meetings at Firewater Bar and Grill. We had meetings at a whole host of other places, and then we will also be doing our winter construction update meetings kicking off on January 27th. You can find that information on our website. We'll be doing a series of 6 meetings, 2 in each district, and we'll be doing them during the mornings and evenings, and a special weekend session. And we also worked very closely with the community, with the residents of the North End and New Center community, which is where our Penske Technical Center will go. So in 2016, we will be, when that construction of that structure will be complete, that will then be the home of our administrative offices as well as the home of the streetcars. So that's where they will rest when they're not in operation, and that is where only very light maintenance will take place at. So changing of tires, changing of batteries. That's where that will take place at. And so for us, it was really important to make sure that that community had a buy-in and really we got their information and feedback of what that center needed to look like, and making sure that it also fell in accordance with the federal regulations as well as City of Detroit Main Street overlay planning. And so we held a series of meetings with the community that we were able to take the information that we gathered from them. We were able to put that into the RFP bid before it even went out to contractors for them to be able to bid on. Once those bids came back, we were able to get that information and come back for a second charrette meeting, and we were able to have those community members be able to have input on everything from lighting to exactly where our facility sat on the parcels of land that we had purchased for it to be on. So we had a very inclusive and holistic process for that. And then kind of leading into workforce development, our board is very committed to making sure that we have diversity on this project at all fronts. And so while we are a federal project, unlike HUD, we are tied and cannot provide geographical preference hiring. So what we were able to do, our board voted to make sure that we mandated that we had a minimum of 20 and a stretch goal of 25% to make sure that women, minority, and disadvantaged business enterprises were at the table on this particular project. And just to give you an idea of what the baseline is, so for the baseline for the state of Michigan is 11%, and nationally it's 3% on projects like these. So what we did is realizing that a lot of these businesses were unable to meet these bids because they were most times, instead of being what they call best value bids, they were lowest cost bids. And a lot of the smaller women and minority and DBE businesses didn't necessarily always have the certifications. They didn't have the experience. So sort of the cart before the horse. Like, you don't have the experience because you can't qualify, because you can't give the lowest cost bid. So what we did is, working with our general contractors, Stacy and Whitback, we actually broke out our entire contract into 45 smaller chunks. So everything from asphalt to excavation to plumbing to welding, to make it much more manageable for people to be able to meet the qualifications to be able to actually bid. And so what we did is we actually held several pre-bid meetings and able to give people all the information that they needed to be able to really complete their applications. We offered insight. We met with them one-on-one, gave them if they had any other questions, and then we were able to open up the bidding process. As a result of that due diligence, I'm so excited to announce that we've actually smashed our goal. We have 30% women, minority, and DBE businesses working on this project. So when you go out in the streets and you see groups like Blaze, Farrell, Hart Construction, and Hart Construction, by the way, is the only female-owned African American concrete company in the city of Detroit, and this is the first time she's been able to get a contract like this. And so one of the things that really is exciting about this, and as a byproduct of it, is that these companies, now that they've been able to work on our project, now qualify to be able to work on other federal projects and other state projects and have that experience. And we've seen with several of them where they've now gotten other contracts subsequently because of their work on the M-1 rail project. And so while we are excited about a number of other things, and while I'm excited about a number of other things, that is probably one of the things that probably brings me the most joy, is making sure that those businesses are able to really be able to benefit from working on this kind of a project. In terms of workforce development, as I said, we can't do geographical-based hiring. However, when you do hire Detroit headquarter businesses and those other businesses that fall into that category, you do have the greater likelihood to hire Detroit residents. We also partner with a number of other agencies to make sure that anytime there were opportunities that were opened by our vendors, that residents were able to kind of at least make sure that they were at the table to be able to apply for those jobs. So we worked very closely with Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation, which is a nonprofit arm of the Michigan Works Agency. We're also working very closely with Detroiters Working for Environmental Justice, Goodwill Industries, as well as Focus Hope, on making sure that their graduates and their their apprenticeship candidates are always in the loop for those projects. And we're also working with them to make sure that when we have candidates that are applying, that they're going through the process for those projects. Because while M-1 Rail is here and we'll be here for another year and a half, there are so many other projects that are coming down the pipeline. And what we've learned from industry standards is that there's going to become a widening gap as baby boomers start to retire, and there's not enough people currently to be able to fill all of those skilled trade jobs. So we're helping to work with them to be able to push candidates into those pipelines and to be able to track those. And last but not least, we are very committed to developing the future of transportation with our young people. Last year we were able to kick off an internship program in which we were able to, through support by Quicken Loans and by City Connect, we were able to employ 10 amazing Detroit residents to be able to learn about this particular project. And they were able to work not only within our office and working with our external affairs, communications, operations and finance, but they also worked with several of our vendors, including HNTB. And so we'll be bringing this program back again this year, and we'll be expanding it so that those young people are able to gain experience with other vendors as well too, and both the skilled trades as well as the professional side of the project, and really getting people excited, really getting them excited about the world of transportation as it is constantly changing, and really getting them also engaged in the world of construction as well too.